Here, we're going to start you guys off here, starting the presentation. Once again, my name is Ed Zamora from Principia Prep. I will be talking about today the college aid process. I've been in the world of the college advising now for basically 27 years. I've worked at 3 different private colleges, so I pretty much put as much as I could into this presentation to help you guys out. Let's jump right into the outline today. Today, we're going to be talking about college costs, the increases. We're going to be talking about the financial aid forms, the FAFSA, the CSS Profile, institutional forms as well. We're also going to be going over the Scarlet Guarantee, which is a big new program that's been around now for just a little bit over 2 years for New Jersey residents who are considering going off to Rutgers, and a huge discount program that has available nowadays. I'll also be talking about the SAT, ACT situation, specifically the optional side, how it affects not just the admissions, but also the financial aid end as well. And I'll be also discussing where to find additional financial aid resources like scholarships and grants, how to appeal for more money, so on and so forth, as well as different student loan basics, as well as I'm also going to be covering scams, frauds, and everything to kind of watch out for as you go through this whole process. Now, all that being said, let's jump right first into our scholarship program. Now, here at Principia, we have a scholarship program called the James Russell Memorial Scholarship. Every year, our goal is to give away as much money as we can, all based on some help you guys give us, as well as the assistance of the high schools we work with. If you're interested in scholarship money, very simple. What you can do from our organization is if you go to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, if you just type my name in, Ed Zamora, our YouTube channel pops up. We have now, I think, somewhere around 270 or 275 different college videos basically explaining everything. How the FAFSA works, how to appeal for more scholarship money, how to appeal for more grant money, how to establish in-state residency for out-of-state public schools. We cover pretty much everything you can think of on the YouTube channel. And one of the videos we have on the YouTube channel, we have this scholarship program here. So if you go to our YouTube, type it, or if you go to YouTube, type my name in, type in James Russell Memorial Scholarship on our channel, you'll get the video basically explaining how we give out scholarship money every year to seniors going off to college. Now, all that being said, in addition to the James Russell Memorial Scholarship, on the YouTube channel, every video you guys watch, that also helps the scholarship fund, because the commercials that run through the different videos, we bank that commercial revenue and then we give it back to you guys in the form of scholarship money through the James Russell Memorial Scholarship. So every video you guys let run, and by the way, for the commercials, some commercials are 30 seconds long, some are a couple of minutes long. The reality is any commercial that pops up throughout the video, if you let it run for 31 seconds or more, it automatically allows us to get the revenue. So if the commercial is 10 minutes or 15 minutes long or longer, you don't have to watch the whole thing. 31 seconds or more, and then we get the revenue to be able to help out and give you guys back scholarship money for seniors going off to college. Now, all that being said, let's jump right into the college financial aid and admission process to give you guys an idea of kind of what you're getting involved in. Now, right off the bat, one of the biggest concerns I've seen over 20 plus years of doing this is that the biggest cost factor for many families is the fact that many students, more than ever before, are taking way longer to graduate four-year program. In fact, nowadays, more students than ever before are taking 5, in some cases, 6 years to graduate four-year programs. And the biggest problem with that is, in the world of financial aid, in the world of free money, the grants and scholarships, the money you're not paying back, grants and scholarships are typically taken away after you exceed 4 years of undergrad. So if your student goes into 4.5 years because they have to take an extra semester, because their credits are short, or they transferred college, or they changed major, or they're going to that 5th year because they have to have way too short in the credit situation for the first 4 years, the problem's going to be that year 5, there's no free money. There's no grant money, there's no scholarship money, there's no assistance whatsoever. So your goal obviously is to get them in and out within that 4-year time frame, so that way you're not incurring a 5th year of cost where there's no assistance whatsoever on the free situation. And the way to make that happen is pretty simple. One thing you should all write down, and this pretty much handles all 4-year colleges, they'll be dealing with this, it's pretty much every 4-year college requires your student to accomplish between 120 to 128 college credits. That's kind of like the requirement, allows you to graduate that institution. Whether you do it over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, it kind of ends up being on the student's shoulders, let's call it, depending on how many classes they take. Now, the beginning portions of this, when your student first goes off to college as a freshman, they'll all be basically given their fall schedule. It's already made for them. And most fall schedules for incoming freshmen typically only let them take 12 to 13 college credits. And this is where the problem usually starts from this perspective. If your student the first semester going in as a freshman takes 12 credits, that's fine. The problem becomes when they take 12 credits in the fall, then 12 credits in the spring, And then the semester comes, or so the next year comes up for sophomore year, and they take 12 in the fall again, and then 12 in the spring, and they keep going down this path. Because in the world of college, your student, as long as you're taking 12 college credits or more, up to 18, you're paying the same price, and they're deemed full-time students. The problem becomes if your student just takes 12 and 12 and 12 all 4 years through. If you look at line number 2, at the end of 4 years, your student only has accomplished 96 college credits. They're close to 30 credits short of graduating. You're never going to catch up. What you need to do is go through line 3. So your student needs to average 15 college credits over the 4-year time frame, each semester, 15, 15, 15, and they'll get to the 120 level. At that level, they're going to be able to graduate. Because pretty much every college, as long as your student is 6 credits short or less, they'll let them walk. They'll let them go through graduation, take the pictures, everything else, and the student can come back and finish everything. But if you have more than 6 credit requirements, you're not allowed to walk, you're not allowed to graduate, you're not done with anything. This is the key because you guys want to make sure to avoid this, because if this happens, unfortunately, you guys are going to fall into that 5th year, 6th year situation where it's a lot more expensive. And the way to make sure this doesn't happen is very simple. At every college, through the enrollment office, in some cases, the records office, you can check with the school through the admissions office and ask them, you want to get the student to sign off on the FERPA form, FERPA. The FERPA form at the college would allow you, as a parent, to have access to pretty much anything the student has through the college. Billing information, financial aid information, grade information, transcript, credit information, etc. That way you can kind of keep track through the school based on them signing the FERPA form for you to see, are they on track every semester? They come home, you can check their grades, you can check their transcripts, you can call school, ask them all the questions you want. That way you keep them on track so they keep going the 15, 15, 15 average to get them in and out within that 4-year time frame. This is a big deal nowadays because unfortunately, as we all know, college is getting very expensive. Now let's talk about financial aid, the crux of today's meeting, obviously. When it comes to financial aid, right off the bat, many families, many students don't actually understand what the term really means. The term financial aid basically means 4 things. It means scholarships, grants, loans, and work programs. The reason I say it in that order is because that's typically the way most families that have been through this process understand financial aid as well. Where the scholarships and grants are free money, you're not paying back. The loans are obviously loans, funds you'd be given to you by either the private sector, the state you reside in, or in some cases the federal government, and then they'll be paid back either throughout the course of the college process or after they graduate. And the 4th thing of financial aid here is work programs, typically programs that the students work on campus and are paid through the federal work study program. Now, that's the way most people see financial aid. The way you should look at financial aid is really more from an institutional point of view, like somebody like me who's worked at the college. So for us, the term financial aid actually means, right at the bat, guaranteed loans, guaranteed work programs, maybe scholarships, and maybe grants. And the reason I say it this way is because if you go to any open house, any college fair, and you ask the financial aid office or the admissions office or anyone giving you the tour, does your school give financial aid? They're all going to say yes. And the reason they all say yes is because in the eyes of the institution, as long as you fill out the FAFSA form, you're guaranteed to get a federal direct loan. Now, what you need to do to get the right answers from these colleges, as far as when most families think about financial aid, you guys think grants and scholarships, the free money. What you need to do is, once any school says to you, yes, we give financial aid out, the next question you should always ask is, how much gift aid do you typically give out? Gift aid is the actual financial aid term that means free money. If you're asking and telling them, I only want to talk gift aid, you're on the right track here because you're only able to talk about grants and scholarships. If you say to them, let's talk financial aid, they could be talking loans, work programs, grants, or scholarship money when you're asking them about financial aid eligibility. So it's always good to stay on the same page because most families are looking for the free money, which means you want to make sure to tell them, I only want to talk about gift aid as far as financial aid is concerned. Now, that being said, let's talk about price tags. Now, when it comes to price tags, if you stay in state, most likely what will happen is essentially most in-state schools for us here are going to cost between 15 to 35, 40,000. Okay. Once you leave the state and go to other public universities like UDEL or Penn State or Maryland or UConn, the price basically goes up to like the 60 to 70 level, especially if you're talking public universities that can't assist us because we're not residents of that state. Then when you're talking about the higher end schools, the more expensive schools, sometimes let's call it the more name brand schools. Now you're talking about essentially, unfortunately, a school list that's basically on the verge or racing towards, let's call it, the $100,000 mark, believe it or not. Unfortunately, nowadays, many colleges, some of you can see on the screen here, are now on the verge of breaking $100,000 a year, unfortunately. It's like the new norm. For you guys, the price tags you see here is this year's academic price for one academic year for the student to go to college. These prices here will be increased on the seniors on today's presentation because your increase happens in May. So the students basically decides where they want to go this academic year. They make a deposit typically before May 1st or by May 1st. And then after you deposit, the students who are already at the college leave campus in about 2 or 3 weeks. The board of directors meets, then they increase the price by 3 to 5%. So these prices will actually go up by 3 to 5%, in some cases even 6%, believe it or not. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, this is crazy, how to get so expensive, so on and so forth. The reality is in the world of college, and I'll talk about this throughout the presentation tonight, pretty much every college is the same, to be honest with you. For me, Lehigh, Rutgers, University of Miami, University of Michigan, Penn State, UCLA, they're all the same. There really is no difference between these colleges. So what you're looking for is, for your family, for your student, the best college at the most affordable price. And the reason I put that the most affordable price is because everyone's family financial dynamic is different. For some of you out there, 50, 60, 70,000, you're fine with. For other of you out there, it's 25, 35, 40,000 is what you're looking for. And you need to do the homework to figure out which one of these schools falls into that category for you. Now, that being said, even though some of these colleges cost nearly 100,000, doesn't automatically mean you take them off the list and you don't apply. What you need to do is the homework and figuring out if the school starts at 90,000, based on our family situation, financially, academically, etc., will we reduce down between scholarships and grants to get us to a level we feel comfortable? And the way you do that is through the homework, which I want to talk about in a moment. But first, let me talk about some basics of financial aid, so everyone's kind of understanding and going through this process on the same track here. Now, in front of you here, you see the equation used by basically every college to determine if you have any financial need, any ability to get grant money from the college to help out your financial situation. Right at the top, we have cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is what a college costs, everything included. Room, board, books, etc. I'm going to show you all of that in the next slide for one academic year. The cost of attendance is a very important term. You should write this down because anytime you're talking to a college about what they cost, you never ask them what their cost is. You always ask them what your cost of attendance is. It's a very important term. The next thing you look at is the student aid index number, which is given to you at the end of completing the FAFSA form, which is the first financial aid form in this entire process, which I'm talking about in a moment. So you take the total cost of the college, you subtract out your student aid index, a number given to you at the end of the FAFSA. What's left over is the financial need. The financial need is what the college should help you out with in scholarships, grants, loans, and work programs. Now I say should because there's no guideline, there's no rule indicating they have to help you out at all, to be honest with you. As you go through this whole process, you're going to notice some schools are very generous, some schools are not generous at all, unfortunately. That being said, I'm going to show you once again here in a moment how to do the homework to figure out your college list, who's generous and who's not generous. Now, that being said, first, before we do that, let's talk about what is cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is essentially the entirety cost for one academic year for your student to attend that college. It's the tuition cost, it's the room and board cost, it's the book cost, transportation to the college and back home in the spring. It's the miscellaneous costs like new student fee, technology fee, parking fees. All of those things incorporate what the cost of attendance is. And the reason you want to ask the college what their cost of attendance is because that way they'll give you a breakdown of all the different components of the entirety of the cost. If you just ask them, what do you cost instead, they will give you tuition and room and board cost, which is not the total cost. So you always want to ask them for cost of attendance when you're trying to figure out what the entirety of the college cost is for that school. Now let's talk homework. Now, when it comes to the homework, for all of you out there, the homework is very simple. What you guys need to do is any school you have on your college list, regardless if it's Reach, Target, Safety, that's all irrelevant, you go on to Google and you type in the school's name. So let's say it's Rutgers University, and then the term net price calculator. Or Harvard University net price calculator, Yale net price calculator. And what will happen is you're going to get a link. And most of these links to these colleges' net price calculators typically go here to College Board. That's why I have this on here. These net price calculators will ask you 15 to 20 very direct, easy questions about your income, your assets, etc. These numbers don't stay anywhere, they don't get saved, so you can change them, you can play with them, you can move them around, you can come back in, adjust them, etc. It's great because you can figure out not just next year's academic financial aid opportunities, but the second year financial aid opportunities. Because for this year's financial aid forms, when you're doing a net price calculator for seniors, it's going to ask you for your 2023 taxes. Because this academic year, when the financial aid forms become available, you'll be asked for 23 tax information. For next year, for 24, which will be your sophomore year for seniors now, or for juniors entering will be your freshman year, the 2024 taxes will be utilized. So technically, using the net price calculators, you can figure out 2 years of financial aid eligibility at the colleges you're considering. The beginning, first year, we're using 23 taxes, or the second year as well, using 24 tax information. Now, what I did was, I did a net price calculator to show you guys how simple they are. I just Googled Harvard, their net price calculator came up. It only asked like 18 very quick, easy questions. In there, I put in to Harvard that we're a family of 4 making $100,000 a year with 1 student going to college with $50,000 in savings. And Harvard came back and said, based on your financial situation, your cost to attend Harvard, which costs almost $84,000, will be just $15,800. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, it's great, Ed, but how many of us are going to Harvard? The reason I use Harvard is, number one, everyone knows Harvard, so it's very easy. And number two, to also say, even though Harvard is statistically basically the most difficult school to get into with essentially a 3% acceptance rate, doesn't mean you need a school that difficult to get a lot of financial aid eligibility. Schools like Franklin and Marshall, Muhlenberg, Gettysburg, Fairleigh Dickinson, schools like Rider, schools like Quinnipiac, schools like Loyola, all 4 Loyolas, by the way, are also almost as generous as this. And the way you would find out if your school list is generous to your student is to do the net price calculators. They only take 3 to 4 minutes, each one. You can knock out a list of 10 schools in less than an hour. And that will allow you to feel comfortable. If you're considering, should we do early decision and get locked in? Or should we just go early action? Doesn't matter if we go regular. All these different facets, all these different factors of figuring out, does this college feel or fit into the category of affordability for us, can be done before you even apply through admissions using the school's net price calculators. These are the keys for you guys to figure out, is the school list making sense from an affordability point of view? Now, all that being said, let's talk about the financial aid forms. Right off the bat, all of you will be filling out the form on the left called the FAFSA form. Essentially, the FAFSA form is a requirement for anything financial aid required. So the FAFSA form will be filled out by seniors this year. Juniors and below, you're not doing anything. This is all information. For senior parents, the FAFSA coming out will be utilizing the 2023 taxes once again. Now, when you're filling out the FAFSA form, I'm going to get more depth in a moment. There are some issues this year, which I'll talk about in a second. The second form some of you will have to fill out in addition to the FAFSA will be the CSS Profile form on the right. It's an additional institutional form for a lot of colleges to give out their own institutional aid, but it's not required by everyone. I'm going to go over both forms in a moment here. First, let's talk FAFSA. The FAFSA had a lot of changes over the last year or so. First, it went from about 100 questions down to roughly around 45, 50 questions. So they shrunk down the amount of questions they ask you. Number two, the form is supposed to open on October 1st this academic year for seniors to fill out. However, no one knows yet who that group is because the U.S. Department of Education came out and said they are opening it for a soft launch on October 1st for certain groups of people. We don't know what they mean by that as of yet, but everyone else will have access to it starting on December 1st. So just assume as senior parents filling out the form this academic year, you'll be filling it out sometime around December 1st and going forward. Now, you might be wondering, well, delay, screw things up, so on and so forth. Should I do it the first day? Everyone talks about first come, first serve. Don't worry about that. First come, first serve doesn't really exist in the sense that if you do the FAFSA form in the first 3 months it comes out, so if it comes out December, if you do it January, February, or March, you're going to get the same exact money. There will be no difference. Plus, unfortunately, every year, there are issues with the forms, so I would not try to do the form immediately. I would basically give it at least 3 to 4 days after it opens, business days, then jump on to get the form done. Now, some of the big changes to the FAFSA, number one, right off the bat, the FAFSA form did take away a big benefit for a lot of families where they used to provide a discount if you had multiple students in college on the formula to give you more availability for more aid. That's been taken away. The way it used to work was you filled the FAFSA form. Let's say you had one student going to college, fill out the form. Form said that you could pay $20,000, let's say, for that student going to college. That basically means for that one student, your eligibility, what you're able to afford is 20. So any school that costs more than 20 had space available to give you financial aid. The change is before, if you had two students, they would take that $20,000 number, divide it in half, and you would be 10,000 and 10,000. Still 20 together, but 10 and 10. So each student would be asked to pay $10,000, essentially creating a lot more space for each student individually for financial aid consideration. So a lot more beneficial. That, unfortunately, has been taken away. Now, a lot of parents, especially the students overlapping, think this is a big issue, but it's really not from this perspective. The FAFSA people took it away from the federal perspective. And there's three people giving you financial aid: the federal government, the state you reside in, if you stay in state and go to a state school in your state, and number three, the school itself. The states have come out and said they're not getting rid of the multiple student discount, as well as the schools individually have said, many of them, they're not getting rid of the discount. So if you are looking at more expensive schools, this might be a benefit because these schools are still giving you that 50 split based on having two kids in college. So something to think about, especially for the more expensive schools that I mentioned in the beginning. Yes, they're expensive, but they may not be as expensive for you, especially if you do the net price calculators. Now, that being said, let's jump into the FAFSA with more detail. Right at the bat, the FAFSA form changed its website, going from FAFSA.gov, FAFSA.ed.gov site, down to changing it to studentaid.gov, as you can see down below. For senior parents, this is the website you'll be utilizing to fill out the FAFSA form when it does become available, whether it be the beginning of October or the beginning of December. Either one, when it does become available, this is the specific website you need to go to. And then once again, as I mentioned, the site typically has issues. Almost every year, and I've been doing this 27 years as a college advisor and working in the world of college myself in institutions, it always crashes. There's always an issue with the FAFSA. So always give it at least 3 to 4 days minimum before jumping on. There's no such thing as first come, first serve. If you get it done early on, which means in the first 90 days, let's call it, you're going to get the same money. If you try to do this the first day, it's very likely to crash because it's crashed literally every single year that I've done this. Basically, for over 20 years, it's crashed for the first day or two. Okay. Now, that being said, if you are doing the FAFSA form, which you all should, right at the bat, you're going to need two IDs to do the FAFSA form. You need to create a student ID for the student, and you need to create a parent ID for the parent, because now the FAFSA is technically 3 different forms. I'm going to go over all 3 in a moment here. If you're new to this because you did FAFSA years ago, you've never done it before, and you thought it was one form, it's technically 3. I'm going to explain what I mean by those 3 in a moment. But first, you can get the student IDs now if you're a senior parent. So you can go on to studentaid.gov, get the student account created and the parent account created to then be able to do the forms when they do become available in October or December. Now, if you need help, as I mentioned before on the YouTube channel, we have literally videos for everything. One of the videos we have is creating the FSA IDs on the YouTube channel, where I walk you step by step, basically as you're doing it with me on your computer, how to get the IDs for both the student and the parent. If you guys need help, just jump on our YouTube channel. Once again, like I mentioned, we have literally videos and guides for everything. Now, that being said, let's talk about how the FAFSA now works. If you're new to this or you're doing this after doing it a few years past. Before you did the FAFSA form, you logged in as a student, you did one whole form, and you were done. Now, it's different. Now, you still log in on studentaid.gov using the student's login you created. Halfway through the student's login, you will send an invitation to a parent. You should send the invitation to the parent that has the FAFSA ID. So if mom and dad are married and mom has the ID, put mom's information in the FAFSA to send the invitation to the parents. Then you will complete the student's FAFSA and you will see this exact confirmation page indicating the student section is done. Essentially, the student FAFSA has been completed. After the student's FAFSA is completed, you'll see, as you see here, an invitation has been sent out and to the person it's been sent out to. What will happen next after that invitation goes through is essentially you'll start the parent FAFSA. Once you finish the parent FAFSA, you have now done 2 FAFSAs. Student FAFSA is 1, parent FAFSA is 2. Then you have a third FAFSA now, which I call the My Activity FAFSA. So FAFSA for student goes in, then you go over, start doing the parents FAFSA, get that in. When both these 2 FAFSAs are done, wait 3 to 4 business days. Let's call it a week, basically. Once a week has passed, or if you did students and parents FAFSA, a week later, log back into the FAFSA and log in using the student's login. And what you'll see is this exact page right here called the My Activity page. It's going to show you if there's any issues to the FAFSA. And what I mean by issues to the FAFSA is, as you can see down below on the left, if it says anything about action required, that means something went wrong with your FAFSA or something didn't connect, and you need to go in there and resolve that issue. If you resolve the issue, then you can move on and there's no problems. Now let's move on to essentially the next part here, which is a continuation of the FAFSA from the old FAFSA. Now, in the beginning part of the FAFSA form, which I do like, which is actually very beneficial, in the beginning parts of the FAFSA form, it's going to ask you guys to sign a consent form. So you're going to go all the way to the bottom, and most people don't read the literature in the middle, but it's basically saying what we were doing once you access the FAFSA before you can go on to page 2 is we're going to ask you for approval. So you click approve at the bottom to send over your tax information directly from the IRS into your FAFSA. So in the student section at the bottom, you're going to see an approve button that basically says transfer your tax information if the student had taxes for 23. For parent, when you do your FAFSA, the second FAFSA, you'll also get the same literature that you're supposed to read if you want to read it, indicating that we're transferring your information directly from the IRS. If you click approve, both student and parents' tax information will be drawn in from the IRS, which is what you want to do because it makes it a lot easier and streamlines the process. Now, that being said, after you transfer your tax information to FAFSA, what's left? Well, they want to know about your assets in that kind of information from this point of view. They will ask you directly for how much you had for the student and parent in your individual FAFSAs. What do you have in your checking account, savings? Do you have any money in mutual funds, individual stocks, ETFs? All this stuff, especially the investments outside of retirement, they will ask you about on the FAFSA form. Now, if you have money in retirement, 401ks, 403bs, Roths, etc., they will not ask you for that. So your retirement assets, the amount you have in retirement, does not go anywhere on the FAFSA form. There is one question about retirement, and sometimes parents get this wrong. The one question on the FAFSA is not asking you how much you have in retirement. The one question they have on the FAFSA is asking you what you contributed in a retirement account the previous tax year. So essentially, if in 2023, you guys put in, let's say, $5,000 into your 401k, that's what they want to know about in the FAFSA, the $5,000 you put in. They don't want to know about the total amount of the 401k. In addition to that, they will ask you for secondary properties because on the FAFSA, they also do not count your primary home. So your primary home, the equity there doesn't go on the FAFSA. However, if you have a second property, the equity in that second property does go on the FAFSA form. Also, when it comes to college savings, they will ask you if the parents have 529 funds, you must put the 529 funds into the FAFSA in the parent section, not the student section. So you understand why I indicate make sure 529 money, if it's the parent is the principal and the student's the beneficiary, that money goes specifically in the parent's FAFSA, not the student's FAFSA, and you'll understand why in a second here. Basically here, in this slide here, is why you're supposed to make sure you're putting all the information into the right sections and the right forms, it's called that one. When it comes to the FAFSA, this is essentially the equation that most families will fall into to figure out their student aid index number. Now, this equation here is probably the most important equation you need to understand. It's also essentially the most worthless equation in this process. You understand why it's important and then not important at the same time after I finish talking about the slide. Right off the bat, there's 4 sections to figuring out your student aid index, what they think you can pay towards college. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Student assets, any money in the student's name, they want essentially 20% of it to go towards the cost of college. So if you indicate on the FAFSA form that the student has, let's say, $1,000 in a checking account, 20% of that, or $200, is part number 1 of what they expect you to pay towards college. Part number 2, student income. Students are allowed to make up to $9,400 before $1 counts. Any money they make over $9,400 counts as 50 cents on the dollar. So obviously the student's money counts a lot heavier, in many cases taxed a lot heavier than other situations, especially the parent assets and income, which I'll talk about in a moment. Part number 3, for parent assets, right off the bat, you guys are giving what's known as a parent asset allowance, which essentially means the first $10,000 of parent assets, cash, savings, investments outside retirement, doesn't count. And once again, remember, your primary home, the equity, doesn't count. Your retirement funds, 401ks, IRAs, Roths, doesn't count. Any money in addition to that, over 10,000, that's when they start counting towards paying for college at a rate of 5.6%. So if all the money you have in the world is in your house, in retirement, and you have $5,000 in checking, that's it, your $5,000 doesn't count at all. It won't count until you exceed 10,000. And then that counts, the excess counts at 5.6%, or essentially a fourth of the money the student is counted against. So a lot better to have money in the parent's name than the student's name if you're able to move stuff around or adjust things, let's call it, before you fill out the forms. And then part number 4, parent income. And this is where it's a sliding scale. It gets a little tricky. For parents, the more you make, essentially, the more they want you to contribute. And by the way, when they ask for income on the financial aid forms in the world of financial aid, they're actually asking about your adjusted gross income, line 11 on your taxes. For seniors this year, line 11 on 2023 taxes. Now, the easy kind of back of the napkin equation is up until 200,000 of adjusted gross income, a little bit over like 220, 225 adjusted gross income, they want you to pay 20% of your income. So if you're making 200,000, they want you to pay 40,000 from your income towards the cost of college. Once you exceed the 225,000, then the percentages start going up into the 30s, 35, etc. So the more you make, the more they want. They take these 4 parts together, and that's how they come up with your student aid index, what they think you're able to pay towards the cost of college. Now, the reason I say this is important is because it gives you a basic understanding of how financial aid works. And the reason I also say it's not important is you're going to notice that if you do this form, some schools will look at what your ability to pay is and then give you everything else in financial need in grants and scholarships to help you. Where other schools will say, okay, you make 100,000 or more, we're not going to give you any help, even though at 100,000, this equation says the most you can pay is 20,000. To give an example, a University of Maryland, a University of Penn State. So Penn State, Maryland, and UConn, if you make over 100,000 and you're an out-of-state resident, even though the formula says you can only pay 20, those schools don't care. You're paying the full amount. They will not give you any grant money. They might give you scholarship money, but they won't give you any grant money to reduce the cost down to the 20,000. Where other more expensive, more generous colleges, let's call it Loyola's, Providence, Villanova, BU, Northeastern, they'll give you a ton of money, get you pretty close to your $20,000 number. But unfortunately, some schools will and some schools will not. And the only way to figure that out, this is what makes this formula somewhat worthless, is the best formula is utilizing the net price calculators, because those will tell you on an individual basis which schools will help you and which schools will not help. Now, that being said, let's talk about what happens at the end of the parent FAFSA, which is a new consideration for us here in New Jersey. At the end of the FAFSA form, after you do the students and send it in, and finish the parents and send theirs in and get the parent confirmation, this is what you're going to see. Basically, confirmation indicating you finished the form for your student. Now, the tricky part here with the FAFSA form confirmation page is here in New Jersey, we now have a requirement that all students must fill out the FAFSA for graduation. It's a new requirement this year that all students must abide by, basically indicating the FAFSA is done to be able to graduate high school. Now, at the end of the FAFSA form on this confirmation page, which they don't have right now, they used to have these 2 boxes previous years. The box on the left says, do you want to start your state application? What you guys would do is just click on the state box, and it would just transfer information over the state of New Jersey. Unfortunately, now the FAFSA no longer has that. So the state and the FAFSA people are basically working together now to figure out a way to connect this so you guys can not only get state aid, but also get your graduation requirement out of the way. Now, the way I would do this is essentially if I get to the confirmation page here and I don't see anything from the state of New Jersey, so I don't see any of these 2 boxes, then I'm going to go to the next slide here and explain what you need to do. But if you do see this box, and even if you're thinking, well, I'm not staying in the state of New Jersey for college, don't worry. Just click that box because very likely might be a graduation requirement, kind of a circumvent the issue of trying to figure out, did you do this form or not? The other way of checking to see if it does go through, if there's no button, or if you did press a button and to see if it goes through, in about a week, there's a group called HESA, which is what I'm talking about here in the state of New Jersey. that has a website called NJFAMS.org. On NJFAMS.org, what you will all do is after you finish the FAFSA, this is another thing after the FAFSA, a week later, 2 weeks later is fine. You will go to NJFAMS.org. That's the website. So NJFAMS up there, as you can see, .org, create an account for the student. And then what you will do is you'll click on the to-do list and see, do they need anything from you? If they do, it's something small most of the time, like they'll need to know a driver's license or W-2, etc. Then I'm going to go down to where it says awards and eligibility information. If you see there anything they need from you as well, then I'll make sure to take care of it. And then the last thing you can check is the notifications, which very likely will also indicate or show that you've done the form for state of New Jersey graduation requirements. Okay. This is the way to kind of like double check your situation so nothing happens, there's no issues. You can graduate or get state aid if you're staying in the state of New Jersey, etc. These are all the steps you have to take nowadays, okay? Now that being said, let's talk about a great situation from New Jersey families from the state of New Jersey, specifically for Rutgers. Now, Rutgers has always been a great college. I thought this for 30-something years. I thought Rutgers has always been a great institution for education. One of the biggest problems we've had for Rutgers from a state perspective is it's been one of the most expensive state schools for state residents almost every year for like 20 plus years. That has all changed. About 2 years ago, Rutgers started what's known as the Scarlet Guarantee. If you want more information, I have a whole video on this also on the YouTube channel, the Scarlet Guarantee video on our YouTube channel. Now for Rutgers, if you get into Rutgers and you've done the FAFSA form and the FAFSA with your income, because your income is the key here. If your adjusted gross income for seniors, 2023 taxes, if your adjusted gross income is $80,000 to $100,000, you're only paying $5,000 in tuition, like basically a 70% reduction in tuition costs. If you're making $65,000 to $80,000 a year, you're only paying $3,000 to attend Rutgers University, essentially like an 80+% discount. If you're making less than $65,000 adjusted gross on your 2023 taxes for seniors going in for freshman year, your tuition cost is zero. Okay. So once again, this is obviously a game changer. And I tell parents all the time, if you're considering Rutgers and you're looking at other state schools or other colleges and they're costing 50, 60, 70,000, and you fall into this category where the tuition cost is going to be thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars, it obviously changes the dynamic of, how much better is another school, realistically speaking, if I'm saving at the end of the day after 4 years, $100, $150, $200,000. So this is what I mean by, for me, almost every college is the same, especially if you're talking about this big of discounts in the process. So now we just talked about the FAFSA. We talked about the state of New Jersey. We talked about Rutgers' new program. Let's talk about the other financial aid form you may need to fill out called the CSS Profile form. Now, the CSS Profile form is done on the College Board here on collegeboard.org. If you're not certain, do I need to fill out the FAFSA and the extra form, the CSS? Very simple. Go on a College Board. On College Board, they have a list of every single college that needs the CSS profile in addition to the FAFSA. Also, if you want to double check yourself, go on to or call the school's financial aid office, any school you're considering, and ask them, do you require anything other than the FAFSA? If they indicate they have institutional forms, then you got to do those forms. But if they indicate CSS, then the interesting thing is the CSS profile form is available starting October 1st. This has never been delayed. So this will be open October 1st. So if you have to do this form, in addition to the FAFSA, you can do this form in October and then do the FAFSA in December later on, and you're perfectly fine. Now, the tricky part about the College Board is right at the bat, most of you won't have to create an account. There's only one account, by the way, a student account, not a parent account. The student account, most of your students already have the account, especially if they've done anything with the PSATs, the SATs, or any AP courses. They already have an account already set up for them. You would log in as their account with the student account to start the CSS profile. Now, what makes the FAFSA different from the CSS is a lot. First off, the FAFSA is free. There's no charge to fill out the FAFSA. The CSS has a starting $25 charge just to start the form. In addition to that, the CSS profile counts everything the FAFSA does and everything the FAFSA doesn't. It will count your home, your primary residence, your retirement assets, the kind of car you drive. It goes very in-depth. FAFSA, 50 questions. CSS, 250 starting questions that can go up from there. Now, if you get overwhelmed with either form, You can press the save button and come back. There's no rush. Once again, first come, first serve. Get that out of your head. It doesn't actually exist. Your goal is to get this form done correctly in a timely fashion, not race to get it done as soon as possible with a lot of errors and mistakes. Also, if you need help with the forms or get overwhelmed, just email me. I'll also give you my cell phone number at the end as well. If you need help, I can help you out with the forms, but do not rush. There's nothing to be rushed here. You have plenty of time. What you should be handling now, to be honest with you, is not the financial aid forms. It should be the admissions forms, because until your student gets accepted to the college, no one's going to review your financial aid forms. So admissions stuff needs to go in first, then worry about the financial aid forms after that. Now, all that being said, let's talk about the marital status in this entire process and how it comes into effect. Right at the bat, if you are remarried, stepmom, stepdad, your financial information does go on the form. Whether you adopt the student, whether you're filing together or not, whether they're on your tax returns, is irrelevant. If you're remarried, the stepmom or stepdad's finances go on the FAFSA form. Now, if you're divorced or separated and not remarried, then you only count one parent's financial information on the FAFSA. And the way it works, the new question for the FAFSA is, who provides 51% of financial support or more? Now, if both parents are working, let's just say one parent's making 100,000 and the other parent's is making 60,000. A lot of people think, well, I got to use the $100,000 parent. No, you don't. You got to use the parent who provides the most financial support, which can still be the $60,000 parent. If it's me, if both parents are working, I always typically lean towards the parent with the lesser income. Now, the way it works for the CSS is a little bit different. So the FAFSA, the way that works, the CSS, they do count both parents. If you're remarried, step parents, you're in the CSS as well again. However, for the CSS profile, if you have to fill it out and you're divorced, what happens is the CSS for many colleges will ask you for a custodial CSS for the parent that you're filling out the FAFSA for, as well as a non-custodial CSS, which means the other parent you're not filling out the FAFSA for. And what makes matters even worse, if both parents are remarried, they some cases want all four parents' financial information, income, assets, mortgages, everything. So it can get overwhelming, obviously. Once again, if you need help, there is assistance out there. Also, utilize the net price calculators. Now, in the beginning, I had mentioned that the FAFSA took away the 2 students in college discount, and that it didn't affect a lot of families, and I wouldn't worry about so much as long as I have the right college list, as long as I know the colleges are generous. And it actually works out from this perspective. The FAFSA form, if you have one student going to college and you're making 50,000, will give you like $500 in federal Pell Grants. That's about it. It won't go any higher. So $500 for a $50,000 college. It's barely like 1% of help at a $50,000 income, which means you make over 50,000, there are no federal grants. Now, if you have 2 students going to college under the old rule, you'd get roughly around $1,200 to $1,300 per student. So if each went to a $50,000 college, you're looking at $100 in cost, and the FAFSA is giving you roughly around $2,000 of help. So it's never really been a tremendous amount of help from multiple students in college perspective, especially when you're dealing with more expensive colleges. What I'm looking at is not what FAFSA did, because they already did that, it's irrelevant. What I'm looking at from a multiple students in college perspective is, what is the colleges doing on my list? Are they going to give me that discount? That's where your focus should be, not what the FAFSA is doing with multiple students, is what's the school list we're looking at? How are they handling it for institutional aid, their own money to give out to students? Are they being generous to us, or are they following the FAFSA format? That's what you should be figuring out if you have multiple students in college, to decide whether or not the school should stay on the list from an affordability point of view. And with that being said, let's talk about frequently made errors on the financial aid forms. Number one error I see a lot is the social security number. So if you don't know your student's social, they don't know your social, and you're filling out the IDs to get the FAFSA started, you can actually fill out the IDs with the wrong social, the wrong birthday, basically the wrong first name, last name, social, and birthday. You can create an ID, and no one will know for about 2 or 3 business days. Which makes matters worse is if you do the wrong information and then you fill out the FAFSA and send it out, it's a nightmare to fix this. So what you need to do is double check first name, no nicknames, last name. If you have hyphens, etc., make sure you put it all in there, whatever's on your social security card. And then third, obviously, the birthdays. You have to check all these things because those are the biggest issues that delay everything in the financial aid process. Getting a name wrong or getting a birthday wrong is pretty bad. It delays the process about a week or two to fix it. If you put the wrong social for the students, especially, it's impossible to fix. It's a nightmare. And you basically will have to start all over again with a new form and a new ID to get the form in, which is a pain in the butt to go through. So just take your time, sit down, do not rush on these things. You guys have time. Now, that being said, let's talk about scams and frauds and things to watch out for, things you need to get out and make sure don't happen to you, which has happened to a lot of families in the past. And the way to make sure to avoid these scams and frauds is very simple. Down below, if you guys want to take a screenshot of it, I guess, or come back and visit and watch the video again, just pause it. Down below, studentaid.gov/resources/scams. This is basically like a PDF of all the scams, all the frauds the U.S. Department of Education has seen. Scholarship scams and frauds, grant scams and frauds, everything you can think of. This read will take about 15, 20 minutes in total to read the whole thing to help you avoid a lot of stuff that parents have fallen for and paid for in the past that didn't help and was not helpful at all in admissions or financial aid, to be honest with you. This is one of the good things that U.S. Department of Education does. And one of the things they did put out that I do think it's very valuable for parents to read and understand so you don't fall into a lot of stuff that parents do fall into and students as well and end up paying for stuff that doesn't make any sense or being scammed into thinking you're doing something you're really not to help your cause, both for admissions and financial aid. Now, that being said, let's talk about financial aid award letters. So the way it works in the world of college is you apply, you do your financial aid forms, then once you get accepted, usually 2 to 3 weeks after acceptance, these start arriving, the financial aid award letters. The financial aid award letters are essentially the key for everything for you guys. From the point of view of once you get the financial aid award letter, this is essentially the college saying to you, if you attend this college, this is what we're willing to give you. Grants, scholarships, loans, and work programs. This is also the starting point of all negotiation, by the way. You cannot negotiate with a college until you know what they're giving you. So until you get the award letter, you can't ask for more. But once you get the award letter, you can. And all of you should appeal and always ask for more scholarship money. Scholarship money is something I tell parents all the time. You should always appeal no matter what they give you. Because even if you think you're at the top end, I want to make sure I'm at the top end. If there's any space left over, I want to try to get the maximum I can. Now, if you need help on appealing, you can do one very simple thing. On the YouTube channel, I have the video about how to appeal for more financial aid and who appeals for it. So when you use the student as an appeal vehicle versus when the parent is the one initiating the appeal, because there are different reasons why you go for one or the other, depending if it's scholarship money or grant money, etc. And within that video, it's about 12 minutes long, I explain the benefits of who appeals and how to appeal properly. Now, if you're just wondering, when you're starting the process, how do you ask? The answer is very simple. You always ask for the maximum amount of scholarship money they have there, or if you have another award from another college and it's a lot more, you always ask, can they match that number? Whether they can match it or not is irrelevant to you, because if they can't match it, but they can increase their scholarship up to their max, that's what you're looking for. And once again, if you need more help, on the YouTube channel, I have the video that walks you through step-by-step of understanding how to appeal properly. Now, that being said, let's talk loans. In the beginning, I told you guys, once again, that from an institutional point of view, financial aid, the way we look at it is guaranteed loans from this perspective. Once you fill out the FAFSA form, automatically your student is eligible for a federal direct loan of $5,500. That $5,500 loan will break into two categories, subsidized and unsubsidized. Subsidized portion will typically be $3,500. The remaining $2,000 for freshman year will typically be unsubsidized. The difference between two of those is very simple. Subsidized loans are basically being paid for the interest by the U.S. Department of Education while the student's in school up to 6 months after they graduate. Then the loan interest starts on that loan. So essentially, it's like a 0% interest rate the entire time until they leave 6 months later. Then the interest gets tacked on. This year's interest rate is 6.53% for the federal direct loan for students. Now, You can elect to say, give me the interest-free loan, the sub, and don't give me this unsubsidized. Or you can say, give me both or don't give me either. But the school must offer it to you as a form of financial aid because it is a federal entitlement. They have to, whether you want it or not. Now, the second loan you're all going to get accustomed to hearing is called the Parent Plus loan. Now, the Parent Plus loan, I like it and I don't like it from this perspective. The Parent Plus loan has the lowest credit requirement. So if you have an issue with credit score, most parents can get a Parent Plus loan at a 600 credit score without a job. You don't even need a job to get the Parent Plus loan. Now, obviously, the difficult part with the Parent Plus loan is it's only in the parent's name. Student has nothing to do with it. And the interest rate's technically right now 10.1% because the interest rate starting at 9.08%, but has an origination fee of 4.23%, which increases the loan to basically 10.1%, which is very expensive. Now, if you need help with the loan process and you're wondering when to even start applying for private loans as seniors, the answer is very simple. You start applying for loans as seniors starting at the end of June of this academic year. So 25 June is when you get the bill. That's when you start doing the loan stuff. The loan has to be in place by typically August 1st. Most lenders, the private lenders, the Sallie Mae's, the College Abs, even the Parent Plus, all take about 10 minutes to do the application, and you get instant approval or denied. So it's very quick to get. So you don't have to worry about having to do this for weeks at a time. It's an easy process to do. Now, if you need help with the loan forms or you need help with loan information, just email me or text me because right around the middle of June, I put out the list of the top 5 lenders every year, letting you know who's the best rates out there. So if you need help, just email me. I send out the list to everyone who asks me for it. Now, that being said, if you guys already signed up, once again, we do have the newsletter I send out every month, letting students know what they need to be doing admissions-wise, testing-wise, financial aid-wise. The email basically goes to whatever email you guys gave me. As long as you gave me the grade level, that's all I need is the grade level to know what grade level to send the newsletter to you guys for. Now, in addition to that, here are the important websites we talked about here tonight. Studentaid.gov. Studentaid.gov is where you fill out the FAFSA, as well as College Board, where you fill out the CSS form, as well as you do a lot of the net price calculators. Now, scholarship searches. Going Merry is my #1 scholarship search. It's the one I like best of all the scholarship searches out there. It probably incorporates already College Board, FinAid, CapEx, incorporates all of them. So I would be looking on the private side at goingmerry.com. That's the best place to go. Now, in addition to that, if you guys want to help us out, we do obviously have the YouTube channel. On YouTube, we do utilize the videos to provide scholarship money. So the more videos you guys let run, or just press the play all button and just mute me, or let the videos run in the background and mute me, or just watch the videos for content, as long as you let the commercials run for 31 seconds or more, we bank that money to give back to you guys in the form of scholarships. And all that being said, here's my contact information. If you guys need help, if you need assistance in the process, that's my cell phone number. The easiest way to get a hold of me, very simple, is just text me. It's the fastest way to get a hold of me if you have questions or have concerns or need help. Email is the second fastest way. I typically get back to email in about a day or two. If you call, I never answer the phone because I'm either going to a high school, I'm at a high school, I'm speaking at a high school, I'm at a college helping out, or I'm helping out a student or a family with something on the financial aid admission side. So it's nearly impossible to get me on the phone by calling. But if you text me, it's very simple and easy to get a hold of.